Welcome to Design to Win 2017. This is the fourth time we've offered this symposium for Formula SA teams and other design teams in universities. It's good to have so many of you here and also so many of you tuning in around the country and even overseas in New Zealand and Malaysia. So let's get into it. Should be a good 3 days. I'd first like to acknowledge our sponsors and supporters. Monash Motorsport are contributing a lot of helpers and volunteers to run this event, so thank you to them. We have Leap Australia, who are huge supporters of this initiative over the many years that we've run it, and they'll be on hand all through the next 3 days to assist you guys with all of your simulation questions and needs. SAE Australia Young Engineers Division also supports this event and may drop in for a visit. And we've been graciously hosted once again by the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering here at Monash, so thank you to them. A quick introduction for those who don't know me. My name is Scott, and I'm a bit of a Formula SA tragic. Coming up on 20 years in this game now, and in the next few years I'll be talking to people who will not have been born when we started building Formula SA cars. Oh. 26 competitions and counting, I think, and back in the early 2000s I was team leader for about 3 years and have done a bit of time in all the different divisions. Started up the aerodynamics section, and I'm now a senior lecturer here at Monash, and I teach engineering design subjects, which puts me into contact with a lot of computer-aided design and analysis tools like ANSYS that we're going to be learning about over these next few days. A quick outline of how the symposium is going to work. First of all, why did we call it a symposium rather than a workshop or a conference? We called it a symposium because we actually have a lot of presentations from the teams, and that's a really important part of what we're doing here over the next few days. We're here to learn about ANSYS and how to use these design tools in whatever application you're interested in. We're also here to hear from other teams about what they're doing and the challenges that they're facing, and connect you guys with other like-minded people using these tools so that you can learn from each other as well as from us and the LEAP staff. So each day we'll start with registration. If you haven't been here before, some coffee and tea and some biscuits up the front, and then about 9:15 I'll kick off with a short welcome. Then we'll hand over to the staff from LEAP, who will give about an hour's lecture on the various tools that we're going to be looking at for the coming day. And following on from that, before morning tea, we'll have a couple of invited team presentations. So that should be really interesting. That component is going to be live streamed each morning. Then we're going to relocate up to New Horizons Design Labs, where we're going to get on the computers and actually use the software. We're going to give you recommended tutorials to look into each day, but we've kind of scheduled it for someone who's coming to ANSYS new for the first time. So we start at the basics and we build up. If you've been using ANSYS for some time, or if you've done a bit of work before, feel free to kind of pick the place where you want to start working each day. We're going to give you access to all of the tutorials for the full 3 days right from this morning. So feel free to have a browse through and see what takes your fancy. But where possible, if you can stay kind of on the theme of the day, then everybody's working on similar stuff, that would be good. Around 1:15 we're going to go for lunch and have lunch for about 45 minutes. Today we're going to have lunch in New Horizons at the cafe there, and we're going to come back here at 2 o'clock for some more team presentations. I'm not sure if they're going to run today. We're just got to confirm with a couple of teams, so they'll probably start tomorrow. So we may be directly back to New Horizons if we don't have any presentations for today, and we'll run through to about 5:30, maybe a little bit later if you want to hang around each day. And on most days we'll run a short tour or an activity at the end of the day. Today we'll take you on a tour through the student workshops here in the department and also Monash Motorsport, and we're trying to arrange a tour of the wind tunnel for tomorrow night. And on Friday night we hope to arrange some dinner and drinks for those that are interested, maybe a bit closer to the city. Here's all the important landmarks that you need to know. So we've got paid parking, very expensive paid parking, I'm sorry, in the N1 multi-level ground floor. If you would like free parking and don't mind a little bit of a walk, if you go out here to the road just behind CSIRO and Monash. You can park out there for free, and it's generally pretty quiet this time of the year. It's just going to take you about 15 minutes to walk in. You've all done really well in finding your way to E1 this morning. I know it's a bit of a maze through Monash with all the building works as well at the moment. Monash Motorsports, which we'll show you tonight, is located in building 37, just up that way. And if you require the bathrooms, you can pop out the back or pop out the front here at any time and just go down there, turn left and walk all the way down past the little garden, and they're just on your left. If you need those, should anything happen that requires fire evacuation, we're just going to be going out there to the lemon-scented lawn. So that's information for people attending. Remote attendees, hopefully our remote attendees have been able to figure out the live stream. We do know it's a little bit problematic with Flash and various permissions in the browsers, so that's the link, and we've got a username and password, and please try to give myself or Hashan a call if you've got any more problems, and I'll deal with them as best we can. Otherwise, we've got the backup of the Google Hangouts that's broadcasting right now as well. Just a little bit of an overview and information for those teams that are presenting. We've sent this information out again, but for those of you who might not have seen it, I just wanted to reiterate. It's great to hear from what the teams are up to, and we're quite happy to take short verbal updates, or if you've got a few slides that you'd like to show, that would be fantastic as well. We really want to create a very relaxed, non-judgmental and constructive atmosphere around these presentations. It's not a design event. You're not here for marks. We're not trying to tear people down. We're all trying to learn. So just keep that in mind with your questions, and don't feel bad if you're at a low level of understanding right now. It's good to kind of show that sometimes so that you can get the appropriate help and assistance that you need. If you're not on the list currently scheduled, please feel free to catch up with myself and Hashan today, and we can schedule you in for a short presentation if you would like. That also goes for any teams that are listening in remotely. We can have you present remotely via the Google Hangouts. These are some suggested topics for teams to consider in terms of what you might like to talk about. You can talk about all of these or none of them, or go in a totally different direction. It's very much up to you. Just some ideas to get you thinking and inspire you a little bit. So we've got the Google Hangouts going as well, so we'll be broadcasting through the Hangouts as well, and that's what we're going to use for teams to call in and present remotely. So again, we might have some technical difficulties, so bear with us. But those teams that are scheduled to do that, we'd just like to have you on the line early so that we can make sure everything's working on your end and check the audio and things like that, so that we're good to go once everyone comes back after lunch. And we're going to try and take some questions via the chat window in that Hangout, but we'll also be monitoring the Facebook event page as well for comments. So what's in store for the next 3 days? You may have seen on our flyer that today is all about the basics, introducing you to ANSYS and the interface, Workbench, and also Design Modeler. So we're going to be doing a little bit of work on that, and then moving into FEA, which is probably the easiest starting point for CAE. So our LEAP staff are going to talk a little bit about that this morning, and we're going to move into some more advanced FEA for more expert users. Don't think that you have to get there. We've got quite a bit of tutorials in there, probably, I don't know, 15 or 16 hours of FEA tutorials alone, so don't feel bad if you don't get through all of them. Just start at the level at which you feel that you're comfortable based on your previous experience. And about 5:30 we'll go for a wander around MMS. On day 2, we're going to focus on CFD. So we're going to have a couple of teams present in the morning on that topic, and then go back to the labs for some CFD tutorials. We're going to have for the first time this year options for either CFX or Fluent, which will be interesting for those looking to figure out which of the two packages they might like to use within ANSYS. And once again, some more advanced activities in the afternoon, hopefully culminating in a tour of the Monash Wind Tunnel. Day 3 is really a mixed bag. We've got a whole lot of different aspects of ANSYS that don't fall within the straight FEA or CFD categories that we'd like to showcase. So we've got multi-physics, things that combine different physics within ANSYS. We've got composites, we've got some topology optimization, we've got EMAG, we've got all sorts of things. So please feel free to have a scan through all of those tutorials and pursue the ones that are that interest you, or even continue on with your FEA and CFD from days 1 and 2 if you'd prefer to do that. Day 3 is very much your choice. So this is our schedule for today. We're running a little bit behind, but we're going to dive into the LEAP presentation very shortly. Then we're going to hear from Monash Motorsports, and I'm not sure, Team Swinburne maybe don't have a presentation, or there was some miscommunication there. That's okay. Quick coffee break and then over to the labs. So our recommended tutorials for this morning, just to give you a little bit of an overview. The first one is very much a basic introduction to FEA within ANSYS. We're modelling the stresses in this beam, and we're using 3 different types of elements to do that and comparing the differences. So we're looking at it with solid elements, with 2-dimensional shell elements, and also with 1-dimensional beam elements. So that'll give you some idea how to select and utilise those different element types, and hopefully make the best decision for your particular areas of interest. Then we've got a Formula SA chassis FEA analysis. So this is a relatively simple introductory FEA of a chassis. It doesn't have suspension and complex things like that. So it teaches you how to work with those 1D element types and the geometry, and apply some kind of basic loads to figure out torsional stiffness, something that most teams are very interested in. Then we move on to a little bit more complex analysis, a bolted bracket. So we've got bolt tensions and we've got surface contacts. So we show you how to work with those. Clevis, which is similar but a little bit more advanced, using symmetry. So we only model half of this actual assembly. And then after lunch, we come back and maybe have some more presentations. We'll let you know before lunchtime. And then we're back in the labs for some more advanced Formula SA FEA, where we look at Formula SA lower wishbone, with some rigid bodies modelled in as well for the suspension. A more advanced chassis analysis, again using some rigid body suspensions to apply our loads more accurately and more correctly to the chassis. And then we've got a Formula SA hub and a Formula SA upright, 2 other parts that most teams are very interested in optimising for weight and also stiffness and strength. And we've got a new one as well that Hashan and Leap have developed, which is a Formula SA chassis which utilises beam to solid sub-modelling. So we use 1-dimensional elements in all of the long tubes, and then at the joints that we're particularly interested in, we switch to 3-dimensional element modelling there to get better understanding of the welds and things like that. So that's an all-new one for this year. In order to access these tutorials, we're going to share with the email that you registered with a link and access to a Google Drive folder. So within that folder, we've organised it into day 1, 2 and 3, and all of the tutorials and associated files will be stored in those folders. So when you go in there, please download them to your local computer and make sure you get all the other bits and pieces as well as the tutorial itself. That will be provided for you there. We've been through that one. And as a special treat for those attending here at Monash, we've got Monash Motorsports to set up their new Oculus Rift VR race car simulator in the computer labs. So feel free to jump in there and have a bit of a drive around some famous racetracks during the days that come. And we'd love to hear from other teams that are working with simulators and Formula SA car and track models as well, to kind of develop a little bit of a community of practice around what we're doing there. So that's all from me. Pretty brief introduction. If you've got any questions, feel free to catch up with me after this and I can address them. Otherwise, I'll hand over to Sean